Hello everybody, my name is Davis and welcome back to another video, and today we are here for another severe weather and winter storm forecast. Now today we're going to be talking about an upcoming severe weather outbreak as well as several winter storms that could impact the Ohio Valley over the next few weeks. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting off with the Storm Prediction Center outlook for today, where we have a general thunderstorm risk across sections of California and extreme west central Nevada. Now we actually have had a few significant severe thunderstorms out on the west coast of California today, and we actually did about an hour of live coverage on those storms as well as the winter storm threat in the mountains, which we'll get into later. But moving on to tomorrow, we have a marginal risk of severe weather for portions of Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, this is a very, very weird setup, and we're going to get into that later on, but basically, there's not too much to worry about here, right? We could be talking about an isolated gust of wind, maybe over 60 miles an hour there, somewhere in that brown shaded region, and the SPC wants to say that there's a very brief, localized chance of a tornado in that green region, but personally, I don't think that's true, and we'll get into why in just a second here. But lastly, we got to take a look at Thursday's Storm Prediction Center outlook here. We do have a general thunderstorm risk on the East Coast, but I would not be surprised to see like a marginal risk of severe weather get added, especially somewhere across the Appalachian region, somewhere like Virginia or maybe even West Virginia. So if we go ahead and take a look at the HRRR model here, we can see that we're going to get some thunderstorms to fire even later into the morning hours of tomorrow, right? It's really not going to take these too long to get going, but they're not going to be that strong, right? We're going to be talking about northern Mississippi, maybe southern Tennessee getting thunderstorms, and then by 7 p.m. these kind of move into our prime area for severe weather, but they don't really do much, and there's not a whole lot of them. Now, by 1 a.m., these storms do re-spark across sections of western Tennessee, and maybe we see some isolated gusty winds across the Tennessee-Kentucky state line through Thursday morning, but I really don't think it'll be anything too significant. Now, Thursday evening, we could be talking about some thunderstorms across sections of North Carolina, but as of right now, it is a little too far out to forecast that specifically. So, why am I so confident that these storms are going to flop? Well, if we take a look at the HRRR model's view here of SB Cape, surface-based Cape, and wind shear crossovers, we can see there's really not a whole lot. There's a little splotch of central Tennessee that has some mixed Cape and some mixed wind shear. Now, the problem with this event, all right, we've got a ton of Cape down here in the Gulf Coast of America, all right? We're going to be talking about, 1,500 joules per kilogram of Cape for areas right up along the coast, which really isn't even that much, but it is relative to what we've been talking about recently. However, we don't have hardly any wind shear down here on the Gulf Coast. Now, in the Ohio Valley, we've got a ton of wind shear. We've got, some would say, even too much, but we don't have really that much Cape up here in the Ohio Valley. The only region where we're really talking about that Cape and wind shear mixing over is going to be across sections of the Tennessee Valley, which is why that marginal risk is only in place for those areas. But even then, we're only going to have a few hundred joules per kilogram of Cape, and the wind shear is not going to be anything crazy. So it's kind of hard to sit here and say that this is going to be some massive event like the low taper fade meme if this was only going to be what we end up seeing. So let's go ahead and move on to what the NAM is showing for these storms here, right? It's a pretty similar picture, but there are some noticeable differences. First one being these storms fire off a lot further west in the early morning hours of Wednesday here. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., we're going to be talking about strong thunderstorms across sections of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi if things play out like this. And the peak timing would be a little bit later as well. We'd mainly be talking about, 8 and 9 p.m. for the strongest storms. But again, they really don't get too strong, and there's not too many of them due to that lack of Cape even across the Tennessee Valley, right? So we get into the early morning time hours of tomorrow. We do see some resparking of those storms, but it's mostly actually going to be up into sections of Kentucky. And then the NAM also agrees that maybe we see some isolated damaging winds here Thursday evening somewhere across the Appalachian region. Obviously, the HRRR had this over in North Carolina, and the NAM model has it all the way over in Tennessee, so we'll kind of see what happens with that, but just know there is going to be some small threat, at least for severe weather on Thursday. Now, taking a look at the Cape and wind crossovers here according to the NAM model, again, we got all that Cape in the south, and we got all that wind shear down into the Ohio Valley, but there's really only going to be a small area where some of that crosses over, and the bullseye is really going to be over central Tennessee for this event, it looks like. So, Levi, if you're watching this, good luck. But if we take a look here at the NAM model's view of the western United States, this is very important because, again, we did have a significant atmospheric river impact California today. We're still going to see thunderstorms and snow up in the higher elevations of California for hours and hours on end here. We're going to end up with multiple feet of snow accumulating in the highest elevations of the mountains. Again, some severe thunderstorms are definitely going to remain possible throughout the early evening time and early nighttime hours of tonight here across sections of western California, but the threat should slowly start to diminish, and we're going to continue to see more of that snow and potentially even another atmospheric river-like event here sometime Thursday into Friday pretty soon in California, so make sure to look out for that. Now, we've been talking about this severe weather system bringing some, thunderstorms down to portions of the Tennessee Valley, but what about the Ohio Valley? Well, around midnight tonight, the HRRR model is showing some sleet and ice showers picking up sections of central Illinois and northern Missouri here. Now, we can see that these kind of diminish, but as we go into the early morning hours of tomorrow, we see some resparking of that into sections of northeast Missouri, western Illinois, eastern Iowa, and eventually that big old band of ice there develops and really packs on a layer of ice there to northern Illinois, northern Indiana, northern Ohio. And if we bring things over to the northeastern United States, we can see we've got a significant ice storm playing out over areas like Washington, D.C., maybe even Philadelphia. But Philadelphia is also going to end up seeing a significant amount of snow from this event, all right? So we could end up with definitely a few tenths of inch of ice along the roads in some portions of Appalachia. Ice storm warnings have been issued, so make sure to drive with extreme caution. You guys went through this just recently as well with Winter Storm Blair, and unfortunately you're going to have to deal with it again. Now, as for the snow, we're really not going to end up seeing too much, but maybe a bullseye somewhere over northern New Jersey or western Long Island. Shout out to Mr. Storm, where we can see upwards of a half foot of snow there, so maybe we'll look out for that. But in general, the HRRR model here kind of says 1 to 3 inches all across sections of the northeastern United States, with maybe some isolated ice accumulation mixing in there as well. So finally, let's go ahead and take a look at the future track run of the GFS here across the entirety of the United States, because it's very interesting. So we got this severe weather / winter storm system that will impact the Ohio Valley and the East Coast here over the next couple of days, but an even bigger system's likely going to pop up sometime around Super Bowl Sunday, very similar to this last one, but a bigger snow threat for sections of the upper Midwest, and potentially a slightly greater severe weather threat for the Tennessee Valley. Now, after that, we're going to see another winter storm pop up here likely across the south central United States, and this is going to be a pretty significant one, it's looking like, because we have been forecasting this one for a while now across several different models, and it has had a strong signal that this could be a significant winter storm and severe weather event down for Dixie Alley. So sometime around the 11th to 12th to 13th of February, we've really got to be on the lookout here for some significant severe weather for sure, and also a big-time winter storm threat. Now, after that, we're going to be talking about, some parts of this being unrealistic because the GFS is not the most reliable model whenever you start forecasting 250, 300 hours out. But it does look like we're going to continue to stay in this pattern here where it's just going to be generally favorable for some strong thunderstorms in Dixie Alley and some winter storms across the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. So again, take that all with a grain of salt, but it is definitely something worth noting. So that's going to be it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you to all of our channel members. As always, if you'd like to become a member, click that link down below in the description. But that's all I've got for you guys today. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.